In your Multicultural Spotlight, tenants are finding it harder to get rental approval due to the barriers in the screening process. That's according to a new report from the Fair Housing Center.
People of color and domestic violence survivors are some of the most impacted. News 8's multicultural reporter Katira Winfrey explains what the report found.
The 24-page report is compiled with data collected from Indianapolis. In a housing market already near capacity, the tenant screening process eliminates even more people from securing housing. And advocates say rental laws in Indiana provide very little protection.
Indianapolis, like most of the country, is facing a housing crisis, according to a new report by the Fair Housing Center of Central Indiana. People who live along the margins are most at risk of losing the housing they have or finding it.
This report highlighted in our very tight rental market where there aren't very many vacancies.
Amy Nelson is executive director of the Fair Housing Center and says tenant screening barriers creates problems, particularly for Black, immigrant renters, people with disabilities, criminal histories, and domestic violence survivors.
There may be times where the individual actually hasn't done anything wrong.
According to the report, credit scores, stringent criminal screenings, evictions, and even eviction filings kept people from securing housing due to vague screening policies, often eating up thousands in application and hold fees. Nelson says actual evictions and eviction filings often hold the same weight.
There's no protection currently here in Indiana related to that. But it's ridiculous, right? Especially if it ended up getting worked out between them and the landlord. Again, it could have been a retaliatory eviction for contacting public health. It could have been any number of factors.
Nelson says for years, housing advocacy agencies had been pushing against data scraping, where companies rush to collect data to ultimately sell, data that isn't always true, like mismatched names, expunged records being considered, and distorted reports.
And the result was individuals having to spend sometimes months trying to get that corrected.
Nelson says such barriers makes navigating a difficult rental market all the more challenging.
Fair housing representatives say if you've recently been denied due to inaccuracies in your rental history, they'd like to talk to you. Reporting in Indianapolis, Katira Winfrey, Wish TV, WishTV.com, and like us on Facebook.